Hello, guys. Welcome to the night session in the Get Into Tech program. Welcome to tonight's session. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be mind blowing. I am sure about it. And, I can't wait for you to experience all that this session will bring. Welcome to the night session in the Get Into Tech initiative. We are looking at the world of data science today. Today, there's only one goal, and that goal is for you to get all the required knowledge, clarity, and the roadmap to go from being a newbie to becoming a data scientist, and building an innovative career in, the field of data science, right? If you are just joining the Get Into Tech program for the first time, the Get Into Tech program or initiative is created to provide you with all the needed knowledge, clarity, and roadmap to help you get into 12 select, paths in tech, and this year. And how we're doing that is by bringing experts, right, in each of these 12 fields, software development, blockchain technology, digital marketing, web development, product design, project management, product management, and on and on. We're bringing experts in these fields, people who are doing amazing in this field. Some of those persons we've got, have built companies doing, heavy figures in dollars around these fields. So we're bringing these persons to come and share their journey with you to let you know, how did they start out? How did they grow in this career paths? What skills do they have to learn? What things aided their growth, right? So we bring them on to come share these things with you, and in that way help you get started, right? So today is for data science, and we have an exciting person, online tonight who's joining us and who will be sharing, on the field of data science. Her name is Chinenye Nwaneri, and she currently works as a digital data scientist at Sapiem France. She has in-depth knowledge and several years of experience in data management, science and analysis, as well as information systems analysis and development. I can go on and on. There's so much, right? She has a wide range of languages, tools, and technologies in her skill sets, including Python, machine learning, Azure machine learning, Power BI, Tableau, SQL. Now, some of these things I'm calling, you have no idea about them. But before the session is over, you're going to have some idea about what these tools are. She has two masters, one from the University of Manchester, and she has certifications from Microsoft, the Data Management Association, DAMA, and all that sort of, institutions around the world. I have gone through all this stress to tell you her, let you know about her pedigree so you can have your expectations up. Hello, Chinenye.
Hello, Glory.
It's good to have you on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad, and please, nobody should be intimidated by it. We're still starting, and I'm really glad to be here. And the good thing is that why I like this kind of will I say meetings is that it's a win-win for everybody. So I know that I'm also going to learn. I'm going to have some food for thought or something to go back to check up. So I'm glad to be here, and I'm hoping to learn from you guys too.
Awesome, right? So, guys, before we give her the floor, to delve right into the subject of data science, like I like to do, I like to know where you guys are joining us from. So, drop that in the comments. I see a couple persons online. I see a comment from Tosin, right? I like to know where you're joining us from tonight. If it's from Lagos, Abuja, London, France, China, Russia, possibly, right? So drop down in the comments. Where are you joining us from tonight? I'd like to see that. I'd like to also acknowledge you tonight. And then we would give our speaker the floor to just delve right in, through her process of growth in data science. So where are you joining us from? Drop down in the comments. Okay, Tosin says, I'm joining in from Ogun State, Shagamu. Tosin, welcome. Good to have you online. I need one more person to drop where they're joining us from, and then we can go on. Just one more person. Let's go. Okay. Yeah. So, Chine, you have the floor. Share with us your journey. How basically you came to this point, what it's been like, and tips basically for newbies, newcomers to get started in data science.
Okay, thank you. I hope I can be heard clearly.
Yes.
Okay, so just to get our expectations right, although I would really appreciate if anyone has questions like straight up, because this is my own belief, but I believe it's actually true. In sessions like this, most likely you would have done some research, some preliminary research. You would have, had an idea of, what you want to do, but you might have some specific questions or some pain points or some issues. So we don't have so much time to beat about the bush. So if you have some specific questions, please just straight up drop them. I would prefer to take a question answering approach. And because I know that, now in the age of many webinars, you would have attended so many webinars about launching into this or doing that. So the general tips, most of them you would have it. And even on these get into tech sessions, if you go back to watch some of these past sessions, I mean, I did that, even though it's not maybe a field you are interested in, but you'll see nuggets for entering a new career path, or getting started on a career path here and there. So I'll try as much as possible not to be so generic, or just repeat those kind of things. But if you have specific questions, please just drop them in the chat. I would really prefer that. But just to give just to start, I would say there are four basic steps to get into data science. So first, step one and two, I would say you need to understand what you're getting into, and then you need to get ready to get into it. And then step three and four is that you need to explore, maybe, or if you already have an idea or you've made a decision, you need to choose an approach for learning or for getting into it. And then you need to create a system that will enable you to stay true. So first, you need to understand what you're getting into. Why? Now, there are some possible questions, and I'm saying this also from experience. So there are so many buzzwords. What's the difference? Because you hear data science, data analysis, machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning engineer, big data engineer. I mean, I'm a digital data scientist. So many buzzwords. I would really just, I didn't have enough time because I'm really swamped with some other things now, but I would try. I'm not making a promise, but I actually would try to send something to Glory, to send to the people that registered for this session. It's not a book, but it's a pamphlet from me, and it's just a collation of different um, from different sources that tries to clarify all these buzzwords. Because I don't know if you, especially if you're someone like me, I like to understand what is the difference. I know what I'm targeting, but I'll just make an attempt for those of us that are here in case you don't know. So just know that data science is an all-encompassing field that has to do with maximizing data, using data. Now, because we are in a digital age, there is more data than we used to have before. That was where the concept of big data came. But you can actually do data science without big data. So what this implies for you as someone that is launching in is that you don't need a big data set, which requires a lot of computing power for you to practice and get into the field. No, you can do data science with small data. Big data is just, it just makes data science sweeter and more valuable, because the more data you have, the more value you should be able to get, because it's not always the case that when you have big data, you have more value. Now, data science became more interesting because now we are not just programming computers to do things based on some set of instructions. We are programming computers to learn from data. That is what machine learning is. So artificial intelligence is a field which cuts across computer science, mathematics, etc., that tries to make computers to emulate human reasoning, human intelligence. That's artificial intelligence. And a subset of it is machine learning, where you train computers to learn from data using certain types of algorithms. There are other subsets of AI, many. So you have deep learning, you have natural language processing, etc. They are interconnected. Or this is not the place, but just for this class, just understand that when you see all these buzzwords flying around, your focus should be that I want to be a data professional that can apply machine learning algorithms to data, whether small or big, to be able to do useful stuff, either to predict an outcome or to analyze something or to whatever the case is. That's data science. And then data analysis, the slight difference between it is that in data science, you are really focused on machine learning, yes. Also, the perspective in the sense that ideally, data science, you have not many questions. You are trying to explore to see what is possible with this data and how can I use it for a more futuristic purpose. But with data analysis, you are coming with some questions from the business, you're coming with some questions from, let's say, the hospital, the business, some challenges, and you're saying, okay, we're having a lot of customers leave. What is the cause? Okay, let's bring the data we have, let's analyze, let's describe, let's explore, and then we'll see. Now, when you do a bit of data analysis and data science, of course, you can't put you can't say they are all mutually exclusive, but when you're an advanced data analyst, you can call yourself a data scientist, a junior data scientist, or a digital data scientist, or an associate data scientist, or whatever. But usually the difference between the two is the focus, the approach, and the level of involvement of machine learning. So I believe that we've already taken the first step. If you didn't know the difference, you should by now. Now, another question that people might ask is, okay, a lot of people are transitioning. I mean, you see everybody, data is the trending, data science is the trending stuff. Is it that easy? What should I really be? What should be my realistic expectation if I'm getting on this path? And what is an inevitable requirement? So I would say, first, somebody asked the question, do I need a degree to get into data science? Answer is no, you do not. Because it's even recently that degrees in data science and analysis are coming up. Mostly people that are in data science, will I say traditionally, have a maths or stats or computer science background. Now that brings me to something I want to talk about how you would approach a path in data science. It depends on your background. Now, I mean, I have a computer science background. So on my own, I mean, 200 level, 300 level, I started to explore to say, okay, what do I really want to do? Do I want to be a full-time dev, or, excuse me, do I want to do this? And that was when I started loving the world of data. And so that gave me a bit of leverage coming from a tech background. So you would most likely have two sets of people. You have a tech background, or you are already in tech, but you want to get into data science, or you don't have a tech background at all. You're just switching. You can do, wherever you are, you can make a successful data scientist. But please, like tech, like everything in life, but especially tech, you need patience. And this is not, I cannot overemphasize this. Because data science is trending or buzzing does not mean it's going to be easy. There are many resources, but tech is generally time consuming for some reason. Sometimes you can have, just to try to set up something, configure your system with the libraries and tools you need, you can get stuck. And there's no way around it. I mean, sincerely, even an expert may not be able to help you. Sometimes some things just don't work, and you just have to keep looking for a way to get it sorted out. I mean, this week I spent one full day trying to do something, one full working day. I couldn't do it. I came back home, I continued, and I just did the same thing that I did before, but just tweak something and tweak something. I mean, and this is me, I've checked on all the sites I know to check and all, and then it's still working. So you need patience. You need to also have, they will tell you when you check online, they will say math, stats, background. That's good, you need that. But for you to start now, you may not know the maths behind it, you may not know so much stats. That's what you will learn. But please don't be someone that's afraid of maths. If you're afraid of maths and stats, I don't think that's, you just go and overcome that fear first before you start, even if it's at the basic level. And then you need to have an analytical or problem solving skill. So I see a lot of, I mean, I'm not saying that there are some careers that don't need this, but I would say that this needs it especially. because data science and anything working with data requires a systematic approach, because you will have many challenges. So you need to be able to have a systematic problem solving approach. You solve this problem, the next one comes, you solve it one after the other. You need that. Why I'm emphasizing this at the beginning is that when you start and you need motivation, you need to stay in the game, you need to know that you need to be mentally prepared that, okay, this wasn't going to be an easy path and I'm going to find help. I'm just going to take it one after the other. So, step one, understand what you're getting into. Try to understand the difference in the buzzwords and know if really data science is for you, or you would rather focus on analysis. There's business intelligence and analytics. There are so many other things you can do in the world of data. And mind you, data is abstract. Data comes from a domain. So you can actually differentiate yourself in a domain or something, or do something else. But just understand what you're getting into and get ready with a proper mental mindset and a good motivation. So I just wanted to say that some people have a love or passion for tech. Some people are indifferent. Some people do it because there's money in it. I mean, I'll do what I have to do. And some will do it out of necessity, or that's the situation they are in. Whichever is your case. Some people will ask, do you need to have no, you don't need to have a passion, but you need to put yourself in a situation, or you need to have something that's going to keep you in it before you start. And then let's go to step 3 and 4. So I said step 1 and 2, understand why you're getting into it and get ready, especially the mental part. Now, step 3 and 4, choose an approach and create a system. So when I mean approach, what do I mean? Approach would be that there are, will I say, 2 parts. This is my own take. So you can either take a course, like a course or a series of courses, just call it a training program, or you work on a project. Now, a training will most likely involve a project, like some project-based learning. That's fine. But this, when I mean work on a project, means you just go straight up, take a project, and as you're working on the project, you are learning. This is different from doing a training program and then they put in some exercises and maybe at the end you do a project. So these are 2 parts. Now, somebody will ask me, okay, we are here to know how to get into it. Which parts should I take? I cannot give you a straightforward answer because it will depend on 3 things. It will depend on your background, like I said, if you have a tech background or not. If you have a tech background, let's say you know how to program, I would strongly advise take a project because you gain more time. So you take a project, start working on it, learn on the process, build your portfolio, and you're good to go. If you don't have a tech background, please start with a training program, at least a short one, and then proceed to work on a project. I'll give some recommendations later, but just to help you. So no tech background or no programming background, please start with the training program. Now, it will also depend on your situation. When I mean situation, the funds you have, the people are around you. If you don't have a mentor already or some tech people around you, if you don't have some types of tools, you're in Nigeria with a lot of challenges, power supply, etc., you need to factor that in. Now, I just want to say that I know that Nigerian factor is there, but where there's a will, there is usually a legitimate way. So, I mean, maybe we can even go straight up. Let's say you want to ask me, how do I cope with power supply? There's just try to plan yourself around where there's light, when there's light. And then if you have some change, or you can, if you're working, or even if you're not working, but you have some means of income and you can save up, try to go to work sharing hubs, like co-working spaces. There are quite a number of them in some major cities. If you're not in a major city, I don't know how good. I know we used to have business centers then with computers and all that, but you can find a way to make an arrangement with somebody or borrow somebody's laptop or something. Now, some people will say, how do I cope with computing power? My system, I need to work with data and it doesn't have. Now, you have most of the cloud platforms have free trials. So Azure will give you a 30-day trial. I think AWS should do that. That is Amazon's cloud service. Google has some free. Go online, just be ready to do the work. Go online, check these platforms. They usually have free, they usually have even stuff for students. So you can get around computing power. And internet, yes. That one I know that no, they use straw to suck internet. But I mean, you just have to prioritize and take it gradually. It might take you a longer time. Maybe you can find a way around it by, if you're in the university. I know that some schools have spots for Wi-Fi. You go there, or some general browsing area that is more affordable. You do, but just try to make a way around it. And so we are in step 3 and 4, choosing an approach and creating a system. So I already mentioned that the approach you will take will depend on your situation, your background, and your personality, your learning style. So some people like learning on the job doing. So please, if you're that person, start with a project. Someone like me, I learn by first principles. I need to understand it first and really understand it before. I don't like jumping like, oh, okay. I like to have a structured approach. So I would always favor a training program. So your learning style will also help you choose that. Now, in terms of where to start or possibilities or options, so when you speak of training programs, you can go for a boot camp or a semi boot camp. You can take a proper online course, or maybe on site but online course. You can do an informal short course or a certification. Now that's funny, but yes, even though you're starting, I would give you this advice. So for instance, if you have money to pay for a certification, maybe you're working, or you have access to some discount for a certification. Now, the thing is, I give you an example. As your associate data scientist, for this certification, there are some courses on Coursera. Coursera is an online platform. I want to believe most of us are conversing with it, but after we put on the chat that they have a path for this course, for this exam, sorry, on Coursera. And this is the same for most of these technologies. So for instance, if you want to become certified in Google technology, they have a certificate program on Coursera as well. And these are world-class standard. So just Kuku register for the exam. Now you're already gaining two or three things at the same time. You're going to get a professional certification at the end, and this kind of, of course, you take entry level, so you don't need experience. Then you follow the course that is associated with this certificate. Trust me, you would learn, because you will have a certificate and evidence for what you know. Because in life, there are things that count, but they may not be counted because you don't have paper, tangible evidence. But there are things that can be counted, but they may not count. So you try to make a hybrid by doing something that counts, which is getting the knowledge, the skill, and at the same time having something that counts, which is the paper, the certificate. So that is a fast way to get in. Now, in terms of boot camp, you can have a sponsored boot camp. So I recommend Data Science Nigeria. In fact, currently they are having what they call AI Invasion Program. So I know it said April, but you can check if they are still accepting registrations. They are going in around cities in Nigeria. So Data Science Nigeria, they organize boot camps, and there are so many others. I'm not really in touch with that, but keep your ears open. Go on LinkedIn, go on Google, search for data science boot camps, data science internship programs, and follow these things. There are some newsletter sites, opportunities for Africans, all those things that put out all these kind of opportunities from time to time. So follow. Whenever you see a boot camp that is sponsored, meaning that you're not going to pay for it, some company is already paying for it, take advantage. Such kind of programs are very good because they really give you a structured, because what some of us, or what most of us are looking for, is someone to tell me, okay, learn Python first. After learning Python data structures, learn this, which you actually need, and the boot camp will provide you that curriculum. So please look out for sponsored boot camps. Check out this Data Science Nigeria one. Then, if you have money, if you have some cash to spare, if you want to pay for a self-paced boot camp, I would recommend Code Academy. Code Academy boot camp is good. It's a bit slow. You should budget some months for it, but it will teach you everything from Python to data analysis to data science. I'll find the link later, or maybe I will send it to Glory to send to you guys via email. Now, what I call a semi boot camp is some online platforms that are really courses, but they are structured. It's a kind of boot camp. So um, there are two, Data Quest and Data Camp. They are really good. Now, the difference, I would also share a link with us. I don't want to be distracted sharing links. So I would send this to Glory to send to everybody. But the difference between the two is in their approach. So I go to another question that somebody may ask. There are so many platforms, Chine. I already know some of these platforms. How do I choose? My candid answer to you, please go on Coursera. Coursera is like, will I say, the Stanford or the Harvard or whatever for online learning. Now there's Udemy, but Udemy, everybody is free to post, and you need to already know what you are looking for, what is good to be able to find the right course. Now there is a classic course on data science for beginners. I'm going to share the link that you can take on Udemy. I don't know for the rest, but you need some expert information to filter what is on Udemy. So I would recommend you as a beginner, go on Coursera. Now on Coursera, you will also see a lot of courses, and most of them are paid. In fact, there are really almost no free courses now, just a few free courses. Now on Coursera, you have the option to apply for financial aid, meaning scholarship for the course, which is very good. And trust me, you will most likely get if you're living in Nigeria, because I mean, everywhere you're living, just have a valid reason for explaining that you can't afford to pay for this, and they will give you most likely. So take Coursera. I would share a course with you for Coursera. Now, when you are taking a course in general, this is another tip for you, because in your path in data science, you cannot do without, some courses, articles, and projects. When you want to choose a course, even if you don't choose any of the ones I recommend, please don't go for a course that is very narrow, especially if you're paying for it. So I give you an example. There is a course that is on Coursera that, or is it a guided project that says working with pandas and NumPy. These are Python libraries for data science. Now, it doesn't pay you to take that kind of course. You'll be bored. Take a course that is talking about data science, most likely end to end. Now, when they talk about pandas and you don't know what pandas is, you go on Google, you search, you will see free articles on it, you will see code examples, you understand, oh, okay, this is it, oh, this is this function they are using here. Then you go back to the course. That course is giving you the framework or the big picture. Other details, there will usually be articles online, there will be other free resources that you can use. So please, if you have to pay for a resource, or if you have to take a course that's going to take your time, don't go too narrow. You will most likely not go too wide, but don't go too narrow, and then be learning as you are taking the program. So quick now, okay, I wanted to talk about, if you want to go for a project option, you go on Kaggle. That's like the most popular will I say website for competitions and hackathons for data related subjects, data analysis, data science. There is also this one called Zindi. It's not as popular and big as Kaggle, but it's really focused on African problems. I'm very pro Africa, very pro Nigeria. So one challenge I've had personally is finding indigenous data sets, because I really do not find interest or fun working on Titanic data or data of New York City, or so. I mean, I can't relate with those things. I can relate with Nigerian things. So if you're looking for things that are really focused on Africa, like projects, Zindi is a good place to go. And okay, I've talked about choosing the platform. I also wanted to mention, so creating a support system, that's step 4. Let's say you decide that, okay, I will go with a project approach. I'm not going to take a training. I'm just going to take a project and work on it. And I've decided to use Zindi as the platform I will go on. Now, you might ask, what language stack should I focus on? Now, you are very lucky in data science. We don't have too many options. You're either trying to choose between Python and R. The rest are okay. It's between Python and R. Now, I will tell you, please start with Python and focus on Python. Now, R is good, but very much more important for if you are in the medical sciences, medical sciences or some specific sciences in research. That's when I would advise that, okay, you should give R like some good attention. If not that, start with Python. Now, if you might also ask, okay, should I start with a technology? If I need to start with a technology, which one should I focus on? Because I mentioned, getting a certification as a possible way to really get into data science quickly. So the 3 guys you need to choose between: Microsoft, Google, Amazon, their cloud service, and then you have IBM. And yeah, those are the big shots when it comes to core data science. And then there are so many technologies. Please, if you are starting out, do not bother yourself with technologies. Just go and learn how to write machine learning models in Python. Start from there. When you progress, maybe when you get your first data science job, the company you work in would help you, that would help you plan your career path in terms of a technology to focus on. Don't start focusing on a technology. Now, the company I work in tends to favor Microsoft, and I'm putting exerting energy into Microsoft. So I already have some experience just on the bare basics of Python, and now I'm trying to learn how to, do machine learning on Azure, and all the whole everything deployed from end to end. So that's because I'm in an environment that favors Microsoft. If you're in an environment that favors Google, it makes sense for you to go with Google. But for you to start with Python. Now, if you really have to choose a platform, maybe you want to go through the path of certification, or you want to make use of their cloud resources, just your choice should be between Microsoft and Google, but most likely Google, because it is more accessible to you. That's the truth. Microsoft is much more accessible if you're in a company environment, if you're in a, in an environment, an enterprise environment, that's the word, and you have some leverage, or you can afford to pay for some things. But if you know that you're trying to really start lean and all that, I think Google will favor you more. So that answers that question. Python, Microsoft or Google. Now, creating a system that will help you to stay in the game, like when you start. Somebody might ask, they are saying mentoring people, anybody that talks in this kind of talk says get a mentor. I would say it is good to get a mentor, but I know that getting a mentor is difficult. Some people will complain, all these mentors, they don't answer, they don't talk to people. Everybody in life is busy. So just don't organize a pity party for yourself. Everybody is busy. So even some of these mentors that are not answering is not because they don't want to answer, but it is practically impossible for them to answer. So that's why I emphasized at the beginning, you need to have a system that will help you, like regardless of mentoring or no mentoring, just you need to have a system that will help you. I would say that I don't know where to get mentors from, to be honest. I've gone online, checked a couple of mentoring platforms, and I wouldn't recommend any, unless it is a mentoring that comes from, let's say, a boot camp, like, this data science Nigeria, or, you attend a boot camp and then they give you a group of mentors. I would rather favor that you try to look for somebody or a group of people that you can code with. So pair mentoring or pair coding. In that case, means that you guys are almost at the same level of experience. But let me tell you something about this. When you, will I say, talk together about your problems, or you're stuck in code or something, sometimes all you just need is talking to somebody about it, or looking at the code together, and he or she, even if the person is not more experienced, might see something that you're not seeing, because you have been looking at the code since your brain has already adapted to a pattern. You can't see the problem. A new face or a new eye can see the problem. So you can try to get, coding groups, coding partners, or something like that. Somebody will ask, are you accepting mentors, or I'm sorry, mentees? The answer is no, I'm not accepting mentees because I sincerely cannot commit to that. But I am open to helping maybe 3 people, maybe first come, first serve. When I mean first come, first serve, not just writing a message, but I would be glad to help 3 people to, will I say, structure better their path, and once in a while reach out. I wouldn't call that a full-time mentoring, but I'll be glad to do that for maybe 3 people. But no, I'm not accepting mentees. I don't know where you can get mentors from except from boot camps or maybe LinkedIn. But I would also say that you can do well without mentoring. You can be fine without mentoring. Google search is your best friend. Now, please go and learn how to get better results on Google search. So, for instance, you can put certain words in quotes to show that an article needs to have that. I know there are many Q&A platforms, Stack Overflow, etc. Personally, I don't use a lot because I just go on Google, search for what I'm looking for, and then get redirected to those kind of platforms where your problem is not new. any code challenge you're facing, somebody has faced it. So just go on Google, search for it. You most likely see it on Stack Overflow, on GitHub, somewhere. And if possible, try to get someone to keep you accountable. So I just do a quick recap, and then while maybe some direct questions from Glory or whoever else is coming, I'll post some of the links that I would share with you. So I just do a quick recap. Understand what you're going into. Be mentally prepared. I would say choose an approach, so something to think about, whether training or you're working on a project, and then build a system that will help you stay in the game. So I shared some tips about how you go about choosing courses. Now you ask me, where should I start? What course? Okay, I'm just going to post some links. So there are some classics in data science that if you want to really start, you can start with. I don't have a classic project in mind, but I would check later this night and maybe send something to Glory. And if you are looking for where to get data sets, I would also share a link. Basically, go to Kaggle, but there are some other sites you can see some specific types of data. And then I will just share recommendations of some. So there is this concept of guided projects on Coursera that I should mention to you. It's just a fast-paced course, 2 hours max, but you are watching a screen, is a split screen, you are doing and following, and you will come out with something tangible at the end. Unfortunately, there's no financial aid for that. But if you have some money, or if there is some promo going on, so please keep your ears open. Whenever there's a celebration or something, or during confinement or whatever, they will usually, let's say, give free, like discount, free guided project, free course, free access, something. Just go take one. Trust me, that gives you the exposure you need to even go straight up from knowing nothing to taking a project, like working on a project. So I think I've covered some of the questions I had in mind that somebody could ask, but please ask your questions.
Wow, thank you so much. That has been fantastic, and I have been, following following you bumper to bumper. And I'm sure that those online have been as well. Guys, if you have questions, drop them and comments. And we already have one question from Tosin. He asked for that when we began. But before we take that, I'd like to ask you a question basically. So while you were speaking about data science, how you can get started, how you can work on projects, I try to picture what a day, what the experience of a data scientist, who, for example, works in like an international company. I try to like picture what a typical day is like, right? Like what kind of data do you work on? For what, of course, it can be oriented towards different specific goals, solving problems and all that. But just an example. So what's a typical day in a data scientist like, like, and what kind of data do you deal with? Practical data, dealing with real issues, and what kind of problems, typical problems do you solve, with a skill?
Okay. Um, yes. So, like I mentioned that data is abstract in the sense that data is everywhere. So you need to tie yourself to a domain. So what you'll be working on depends on where you find yourself. So I work in a company that does engineering, procurement, and construction, especially for energy, the energy industry. So the kind of data that I'm working on or that I get to work on is things like, let's say, operations data. Guys are offshore and they are reporting. We installed a 15-kilometer pipe. We did like an example of a data set. I will see some operation codes, the times they started the operation, the time they ended the operation, what activity they did, some description, what vessel was used on it, what project, what is the scope of work, what installation product they are installing, and stuff like that. So the data you work on depends on where you find yourself. So
Okay.
in my and that would also determine the kind of problems you solve. So for me, data science is like, for instance, we are trying to make the process of reporting the operations easier. So I'm doing an example of a problem is doing a predictive model that can automatically predict what operation is being done based on certain other input features. Like, okay, if I give this my model, the scope of work, the vessel, the everything, and some description, this model should be able to automatically tell me the specific operation that is being done based on a standardized library of operations, without the guys on board having to say, oh, okay, it is this particular operation. So I just give a description: laying a pipe 12 kilometer, blah blah blah. There is a certain context, which is a scope of work. There is a vessel, and that vessel, a vessel is a boat, a construction boat, has certain characteristics. I know that this boat only does J-lay type of pipe laying, and it does this kind of thing. The model should now be able to tell the guy on board that, oh, this is the operation you are working on, and say, oh yes, that's it, and we are reporting. Now the analysis part. So I do a lot of analysis in my company. So more of business intelligence. So meaning, based on this data, I'm doing some descriptive statistics to show what happened on this project, what was our performance, planned versus as built, and then what can we do. So those are the kind of things that a
Okay.
data scientist or a data analyst does. More of the time is spent on data cleaning, data modeling, and just maybe about 20% of the time is spent on creating a machine learning model and all the fancy parts.
Wow, awesome. I really I feel like I should become a data scientist. To be honest, it sounds quite interesting. One of the things I got from what you said is, and what you get to do, the kind of data you deal with depends on the environment you find yourself in, the kind of company and the field or industry that company works in. That's totally fantastic. So we have a question from Tosin, and the question is, can I work as a data scientist without a university degree? That's the question.
Yes. So I'm glad he's saying that many of his questions have been answered. I'm seeing that on YouTube. So yes, you can work as a data scientist without a degree. When you say without a degree, without a data science degree, even without a background in computer science. So even if you studied chemistry, Igbo language, you can become a data scientist. You just need to put in the work in learning it. Build a portfolio. So nobody cares what you studied really. Learn it, build a portfolio with maybe 2 projects or 3 projects. Maybe just do a competition on Kaggle, do a personal project or another one, upload it where they can see it, brand yourself, have certificates for the courses you've taken, apply for an entry role.
Fantastic, fantastic. Um, there's a follow-up question from Tosin again. How many hours is required to start learning? I work on a full-time job currently.
Okay, so I would say on the average, most platforms I've seen, most of them go around, let's say, 60 hours. So, and that would depend on the platform or the approach you're taking. So for instance, a platform like Data Quest does few videos but a lot of exercises. So if you calculate based on the videos, it's short, but it depends on how long it takes you to complete the exercises. And if you go to a platform that is really video based, most of your learning is about the video and just a little of exercise, so your time is predictable. But I would say full-time job, it's not realistic to say you put in every day. But if you can put in at least 4 to 5 hours every week, so your weekend is there, try to maximize your weekend. At least 4 to 5 hours every week. Give yourself 3 months, you'll be able to start something. Like, when I mean start something, you will be confident enough to even apply for an entry role. But again, please, I must put a caveat. It depends on your background. You're coming from a tech background or not. You have some programming experience or not. You have so many issues or not. But let's say that those things are, let's say on the average, give yourself 3 months, at least 5 hours every week.
Wow, awesome. So 3 months and 5 hours every week. Okay, so guys, continue dropping your questions. Basically, while we wait for more questions from the audience, I have one that's basically in my mind. And what everyday tools do you deal with? Maybe like computer software and all that. What everyday tools will a data scientist, have to start using, and what tools will they deal with?
Excel is your best friend. Do never underrate Excel, Microsoft Excel. Some people, I mean, please, if you don't know how to use Excel, like when I mean use Excel, like you don't know advanced functionalities in Excel, you should invest in that. Excel is your number one friend when you're dealing with data. Then you need a programming environment. So either a Jupyter notebook for Python or an integrated development environment like many of them, any of them. But most times people in data science use Jupyter notebooks. I use Jupyter notebooks for, excuse me, almost all my work. Once in a while, I don't like very fancy, so once in a while I use the will I say the official IDE. It's not an IDE, in fact, it's because it's not fancy, but the official editor for Python, which is called IDLE, Python IDLE. So you would use an editor, you would need Excel, and then if you do analysis and reporting, you will need a reporting tool. So either Power BI, that's from Microsoft, or Tableau, which is from Tableau. And those are the basics.
Okay, okay, awesome, awesome. Um, Now, another question, which I know a number of persons have is, so let's say I have been able to put in the 3 months, the minimum, 3 months basically. Let's say I've even done 4 months, and I have been able to like work, take a couple courses. I have some knowledge now, and I am ready to apply for an entry level, job as a data scientist. What are the things? What are the requirements that would enable, someone like that, get in an entry role comfortably? I know, I know there's a couple things like portfolio and all that. So when you talk about portfolio, what should be on the
What
portfolio
should be in the
that would
portfolio?
tell, yeah, that would tell the companies you're applying for that this person knows what they're talking about and they can get them for an entry level role.
Okay, so this part I would just gloss over it, but if anybody that has this question, go online, check for data science entry level resume. So what you will see, well, you may not remember all, so but that's what I'm telling you, go and search for it. Basically, or what you can do, either you use a resume or search typical cycle or steps or workflow for data science. So for each step, there is a major tool or a major skill that you need to know. So for instance, for data science, you need to start with data collection, which is not always the case. You will need to learn web scraping. One Python tool that is popular for that is Beautiful Soup. It's a library. It's not a tool actually. Then you go to data cleaning. You need to learn Python and the libraries that are used for data cleaning. Then you go to the, will I say, exploration. You need to learn there are libraries for exploration. So any project you are working on, try to incorporate the tools and the steps that are needed in data science. So I will just mention a few. You need to learn Python libraries, specifically scikit-learn, matplotlib for visualization, seaborn is also for visualization, but it's quite popular and more fancy. But at the basics, start with matplotlib. Then you need to have pandas and numpy for the data structures and management. With these libraries, you're cool. When you get advanced, you can start doing Keras, TensorFlow, all those ones. But you need to know Python, NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Scikit-learn, and you're good. Then you must know SQL. SQL is structured query language. So that's the language for manipulating data in databases. Now, I mentioned that Excel is your friend. Yes, because almost everybody starts from Excel. But for you to work in a company, most likely they will have some database. Even if they don't have, their hiring manager knows that SQL is a skill needed for data science. So you will need it. So learn SQL, that's structured query languaging. You can download Postgres SQL or MySQL database on your system and practice with it. So I've mentioned Python and the libraries, I've mentioned SQL, and then you should know a bit of reporting. So now we're talking about now, if you by the time you learn data science, everybody, or one of the best, or let's say most demanded soft skills for data scientists is what they call storytelling. Storytelling is the ability to present what you've worked on, your predictions or your analysis or whatever. So you need to be able to create a dashboard that is also engaging. So you cannot do without analysis and reporting. So either go and learn Tableau, which is actually more accessible, or learn Microsoft Power BI, or you learn a Python library specifically for dashboards. So I'll recommend to you Plotly because it's easy to learn. So those are the any project you are doing that you need to put in a portfolio that you will use to apply for a job needs to show that you made use of these things I mentioned now, and that you apply the steps: data collection, optionally, data cleaning, data exploration, analysis or modeling, and then presentation. You're good to go.
Wow, that's the only word coming to mind. Wow, that feels like quite a lot, and I'm sure that guys online, you are taking notes, and you are basically jotting these things down. We basically come like to the end of tonight's session, and you've said so many things. Before you mentioned earlier on that you are not taking mentees for now, but you'd be willing to help assist 3% basically, give them some form of assistance to help them in this journey to becoming a data scientist, right? So I guess you'd be taking applications from them, right? How would that be done? Is it going to be by mail or?
Yes. So LinkedIn or mail, but I think mail would get a faster viewing. So I just need the person, based on the steps I mentioned, I need the person to first do some search about, or make sure, convince me that they understand, or at least just tell me that they understand the differences in the buzzwords and they are cool, they understand data science. Then I need the person to also decide how they want to go and check out some of the courses that I would, share the link. So check, is there anyone that catches your fancy, or you want to work on a project? I need to know what, like, come up with a draft plan basically. Then send me a message, an email basically, detailing your plans, no matter how sketchy it is. Then we will organize. So we can have a discussion. I help you to structure it better. And for sure, I know that at some point, maybe we could also exchange, or if you're stuck somewhere or something. But that's it. So send me an email. I'll drop my email. Just get a draft plan ready, maybe a course or a project or something. Let me see it, and then we shoot, how do they say it? Brainstorm,
Shoot,
just
shoot
help
it short.
you
Okay.
fine tune a bit, and then
Okay.
don't shoot short with me. I'm married.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. But then,
I'm happily married.
nice disclaimer,
Okay,
right?
but
So,
put your shot for the help, and then we'll see how it goes. And then just also to say, in as much as I like women being in tech and all that, but it is first come first serve. I'm not going to give any preference to women in tech or whatever. Equality of opportunity, and that is what should determine the outcome. So no preference to anybody.
okay, awesome, fantastic, right? Guys, this has been a very brilliant session. And while she was speaking, I saw a comment from DVM, and it was simple. This is powerful. That's how I can describe the session. It's been powerful. And thank you for sharing so much on data science. Anybody who watches this video from the beginning, if you join in late, right, ensure that when the session is over, you go back from the beginning to rewatch up until this point, basically, because so many things have been said, which I'm sure, which is guaranteed that if you follow, you would become a data scientist in no time. Of course, after having put in the work. Guys, like we like to do, please, to appreciate our speaker, for the awesome things she's dropped in this session. Put up the fire emoji. I'd like to see, right? If you've enjoyed this session, put up the fire emoji. While they're doing that, I'd like to ask you: are you active on any of the social media platforms, like maybe a platform where you like share tips, day-to-day tips, or week in, week out, and all that? Are you active on any social media platforms for people to follow you on?
So I used to be an active writer on Medium. I
Okay.
will I will regain my writing mojo very soon. So yes, but I love to write about issues that I encounter and the solutions on Medium. So I would share that. And then LinkedIn, I don't share a lot on LinkedIn, but yes, I would share the link to the Medium post on LinkedIn. My social media is LinkedIn and WhatsApp, email, finish.
Okay, fine. You can call. Can you call the platform now? So just put it on the screen for persons basically who want to go follow you and all that. Is that possible now, or
My
you'd
so
prefer to?
what my
Okay,
LinkedIn.
yeah, for
Okay,
people
so
to
yes,
connect to
I'm
on
trying
there.
to. I will get the link and share right now. But basically,
Okay,
my name is Chinenye Nwaneri, and you see my picture. There are other Chinenye Nwaneris, but you will see my face. But let me get the
okay,
link
guys.
and share.
Okay,
That will be
okay.
accessible even after the session, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, guys. It's been a fantastic time, and I'm excited because this is what this is what Get Into Tech is for, to give you all that knowledge and clarity you need to get started. Even if minutes before the session you had no prior knowledge, right? So guys, drop the fire emoji in the comments. I'd like to see if you have gotten anything in this session. Drop the fire emoji. It's been a fantastic time. Go follow her on LinkedIn. Just search for Chinenye Nwaneri, right? Like she said, you can see her face now, and you'd also see her face on LinkedIn. So go follow her on there. Feel free to shoot her a message. Not a stressful message, and all that. Or just feel free to if you need perhaps guidance or counsel, just something brief, shoot her a message basically. For those who are in the community, the links to the courses is recommended will be dropped, as well as our email address basically for you to apply, to be among the 3% basically who get some level of some guidance and tutoring, right? So thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been really, really, really good having you on. Thank you so much. Before we round up for tonight, in just 30 seconds, any quick words, and all that, just in 30 seconds, words of encouragement for those who want to start this journey and all that.
Data science is where to be. It's lucrative. Um, Yes. So I know people are jumping because it's trending, but I'll always say it's not a bad thing to join because it's trending, but please tie it to a greater purpose or a greater passion, because if not, you would get discouraged and on the way. So it's good to get on the data science wagon. Please come on. We need more people, but tie it to a greater purpose. Tie it to something more meaningful that really means something to you, and be patient with the process, but it's worth it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Guys, we've come to the end of tonight's session. It's been fantastic for me, and I really hope it's been same for you. Right. Don't forget, this is the Get Into Tech program, Get Into Tech 2022. And this is the night session. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the night session, which is happening tonight. We've covered digital marketing, web development, software development, product management, and product design, which is UI UX design, and blockchain technology, video editing, right? And today we've covered data science. We have 3 sessions left: project management, graphic design, and machine learning AI. If you noted while Chinenye was speaking, she talked about machine learning, right? So we're going to go in depth into that. That has its own session, and that would happen soon enough, right? So next week Friday we're going to be back with the next session, which is on product management. And just like tonight's speaker, we're also bringing someone who's awesome, who's fantastic, and has the experience to guide you through in that field. And once again, this is the Get Into Tech program, and we will be back next week Friday. Thank you for joining us. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.